everyone. Welcome to the October Q&A. So this is going to be a bi-monthly thing, so once every 2 months, on my YouTube channel, where I'm going to allow people to ask questions, specifically to me, and I will answer them. So this is October's, the next one will be in December, and I will have a community post up for YouTubers to ask questions. And then if you are over on my Patreon, you can also ask questions there. I'll have one form for asking questions every month over on my Patreon. So something to just give you guys a bit of information on this. It will be a semi-regular thing. And so this is October's. So people ask me questions back from August to September. And here we go. For our first question, Shut Up over on YouTube asks, can you please do more stomach sounds? And I hesitate when it comes to stomach sound videos because I know not everyone enjoys them. Plus, when it comes specifically to stomach sounds, I have to record them separately from the main audio, and it's a bit of work, and I never know if I should upload more or upload less when it comes to audios featuring stomach noises. But yeah, I can see about doing another one soon enough. I certainly don't mind. Let's see. Next, Blue Soup asks, hi, I really enjoy your audios. I was just wondering, how exactly did you get into Giant Tiny content? Was there a specific piece of media, like a TV show or a movie, that inspired you? I was actually speaking with someone about this pretty recently. So my earliest memory of Giant Tiny content was when I was super young. I watched an episode of The Backyardigans, which for context basically features the main cast of kids playing pretend in various situations. There were, I think, 6 kids. Or 5 kids? I don't remember off the top of my head. Point being, in this particular context, the kids were playing superheroes, and one of them was a supervillain who could shrink things. So one of the heroes winds up getting shrunken and basically spends the entire episode being tiny. And I don't know, that kind of made me realize I enjoy it. It's not, I wouldn't say that made me enjoy it. But it certainly made me kind of realize, oh, this is something I really enjoy. That said, if you're specifically referring to what got me into making Giant Tiny content, funny enough, I began writing up ideas for Giant Tiny ASMR well before I even thought about making this channel. Honestly, I was just really inspired by other ASMR artists who made similar content. I always enjoyed the really rare occasions where I get to see someone doing an audio with a giant or a tiny listener, and I wished someone would do them more, so I made a channel basically dedicated to it. Let's see. Nonetheless, 707 asks, how and when did you know you were into the more niche stuff like Tiny and Giant or Vora-related things? Was it as awkward or rough for you when you initially realized it might be more out of the ordinary, or did you accept it with open arms? So of course, just mentioned my earliest recollections of Giant Tiny content, but honestly, I recall it took me some time to realize I had a genuine special interest in it. Along with other things on my channel like Vor, as you mentioned, or Steppies, that kind of stuff. I remember that I was just absolutely enraptured with media that had GT or maw scenes or scenes with people getting eaten. I would watch entire movies just to see those scenes again. I wouldn't even replay the scenes over and over. I would just watch the entire movie, and then I'd get that 2-minute scene out of the entire hour and a half long movie, and I'd be like, oh, Yes, it's this scene again. But then I'd like feel weird talking about them. And I kind of just rationalized my enjoyment for those scenes as enjoying like the media they were in as a whole, which is why I'd watch the entire thing and not just that one scene. But it wasn't until I was probably in my late teens that I really acknowledged that I had a particular taste towards that kind of stuff. And I don't even really remember what it like was that clued me in to enjoying that. I think I just wound up consuming a lot of media for it and was like, yeah, this is good. Let's see. Next, Dusty Sock asks, hello. I suppose my question is a bit odd, but if you were to meet a little person in your home, how would you handle the situation? To be honest, I feel like I'd probably just like calm them down first if they were scared, and then I'd like try to get information out of them. Like, ask how long they'd been there, if they'd been shrunken, or if they were like normally that size, that kind of stuff. And then after that, I'd probably see if they like needed anything, like, help returning to normal size, getting supplies for themselves, or like whatever they're doing, etc. And then, assuming they wanted to like stay in my house, obviously I wouldn't like kick them out because like, it's their home too, technically. Like, they may not be paying the bills, they might not have their name on the like documents, but it's where they live too. So I'd probably like make them a nice little home or something, and some like little walkways that would help me avoid stepping on them. Like, maybe not even like ones like higher up, but like, how roads and stuff have like bicycle lanes, probably something like that, where it's like, oh, don't step here. It's brightly lit up so you can see that there's a tiny person walking around. Although I do think I'd have to be pretty insistent of them not staying in my room. I can't imagine having to share a room with someone, much less someone like that size. I feel like I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have to go get water or something and just step on them by accident. Let's see. Next, Frog Dog Does Stuff asks, I love your audios. I like Clement the best. Question, what inspired you to make someone like Clement? Like, he eats us a lot more than the others. Interesting question, honestly. To be honest, Clement's changed quite a bit since I first made him. Like, I remember originally he was sort of meant to just be like a dude who happened to be really big. And then I slowly added on the idea that he lived out in the wilderness, and that he was kind of a rarity, like giants aren't like a normal thing to see, so on and so forth. Honestly, his main inspirations were just what I'd like to see in a giant. Someone who's calm, friendly, and free of judgment, but also like protective, and of course sometimes eating people. So yeah, that is kind of just how Clement came about. Of course, the things like Hilda also helped with the idea of like even the more like normal things having an element of fantasticalness to them, and even the stuff that has an element like that's very fantastical has an element of normalcy to it. I kind of wanted to use that for Clement as well, where it's like he is a big friendly giant, but he's also kind of a normal person while also being this massive ancient creature. Next, Lilith asks, hello, what's your favorite season? It might not be a question about your audios, but since it's personal questions, I went random. My personal choice is fall. Well, fall is actually my favorite as well, especially where I used to live. Fall weather was one of my favorites. The leaves around pretty much all the trees would turn this really, really stunning red for like a month. That's probably not true. It probably wasn't as long as that, but it always felt so long. They'd be this gorgeous yellows and oranges and this gorgeous, gorgeous crimson color that just made the entire area feel magical. there's just so much to love about fall. Next, Noodle Doodle asks, how did you feel doing the unwilling ASMR? There's people outside my window. How did you feel about doing the unwilling ASMR? Would you like it yourself, or did you personally prefer willing and gentle scenarios? It was outside of my comfort zone recording-wise, that's for sure. I don't mind it, I'll say that much, and I think it was a fun experiment. I also really appreciate the support that folks had for it. I was a little worried that the audio, where the listener gets some, quote-unquote unwilling play from me, would be just a bit too teasing to be relaxing. But I'm glad that folks enjoyed it. That said, I probably won't do another audio like it for a little while. I do prefer the gentler and more willing audios for ASMR. And I don't really feel like many of the fellows on my channel are particularly suited for relaxing interpretations of an unwilling type of audio. Though, maybe for if the listener's hurt or something, I could do something like that. I don't know. But yeah, for now I think more of the willing kind of range of things. Let's see. Next, Rune asks, what are some of your favorite tropes with size difference stories? And are there any that you feel deserve more attention? Oh boy, long answer warning. I'll be entirely honest and say that I don't usually indulge in literature, and unfortunately that does include stories centered around size difference. That said, I do recall reading a fan fiction, I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was. Basically it featured a man that was some sort of ran a company of some sort, being inexplicably made really small and having to be taken care of by one of his employees. It was really sweet, and one of my favorite tropes, I suppose you could say, was where the employee character would be hand making accommodations such as cups and plates for his boss, and of course making living arrangements and ways for the boss to become more independent while the employee was out of the house. I also really loved the way they captured the dynamic between the two, the boss being this impressive and powerful man who suddenly was in need of constant aid, and thus, when he was living with his employee, seeing the life of his far less well-off employee who still treated him with respect and care and genuine kindness. I really wish I could find it again to share it with you guys so you guys would know what I'm talking about, but this was years ago, so I don't even remember that much more about it, honestly. That said, I do also really love the normalcy of size difference found in some stories. Whereas the last one I mentioned was very much oh, this is out of the ordinary, and these two are kind of drawn together because of this sudden change of size that's never been seen before. Having it be normal, just the state of the world, is really interesting to me. For an example, Zootopia, if you've seen Zootopia, does this really well, I think. But my personal favorite probably has to be, I'm gonna butcher this name, I'm sure, Andasements by Coddlewag. To be frank, I just love Coddle's writing in general. Their descriptions are super impressive to me, and the characters feel just so distinct and alive. If I could have a sliver of his writing capabilities. But one of my favorite elements of Andasements specifically was in the first chapter, the descriptions of Indez's office. It's like a place built for, larger creatures, but it's occupied and run by a mouse. So the way he gets around places, the architecture he has built to accommodate his size and allow him to practice his craft, I really do love it. I love the casualness of it. And like, well, it's, strange and wondrous to read about. It isn't treated as wondrous in the story. It's just another way that Andes gets by in a world he belongs in. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy some wonder as well, of course. I mean, the world that I've been building up in my ASMR stories has giants as a relative rarity. However, I do think that normalcy in size difference is truly underrated. Let's see, next. From Solar, we have, can you do more giant drawing tiny videos? Yeah, of course. I am more than happy to do that. I do enjoy them greatly, honestly, as someone who does art. I just always worry about making too many audios with similar triggers and then having them be samey. But absolutely. And Solar also asks, what is your inspiration? I love your videos. They make Mondays feel not so bad anymore. I don't know. Anything, really. Sometimes it'll be, an interaction from work. Other times it'll be how I'm feeling. I remember the Himbo Jimbro, lovingly nicknamed Hugh, came about because I was feeling super flirty for about a week, and I wanted to make a character who I could do goofy, vaguely romantic audios with. And sometimes, honestly, it's even other ASMR artists. Sometimes I'll see a concept I like, you got stuck in a hole, or I'm baking bread, or, something like that. And I'll just be like, that would be a really fun idea to look at through the size difference lens. So then I make an audio with it. Let's see. Musi asks, one of your older audios was cleaning a little friend from a bowl of soup. So my question is, what is your favorite soup, or favorite beverage instead? My favorite soup by itself would be tortilla soup. I love it. It tastes amazing, and it's so good on a cold day. However, I absolutely adore a good tomato soup with a grilled cheese sandwich. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Those are amazing. But for favorite beverage, I'm gonna sound really dorky with this one. Probably water, honestly. I also really enjoy Dr. Pepper, but honestly, I've begun drinking water with just about everything recently due to me sweating so much at my work. And, yeah, I'm a water enjoyer. Let's see. Apologies if you can... I know you can hear my mic getting shuffled around in my hands. Let's see. Haley asks, do you have any new characters in the works? At this moment, there is one, but he is still very much in the early concept stages. I've had the idea for a sort of rival jock to Hugh for a while. Someone who's kind of like similar with him, but maybe with a bit of a more like gritty but loving personality to Hugh's like relaxed yet teasy personality. I'll see what comes of him though. Still, no audios, no long form audios have been made with him yet, and I don't have an appearance or like a really strong personality, but something's bound to come up eventually. Let's see. Eel Meal asks, what inspired you to start making ASMR? So I know I mentioned like what started me making specifically size difference ASMR, but ASMR in general, to be honest, I've always loved doing voices. I love playing characters. I loved, reading books in voices, doing like, I remember I used to read the old Wallace and Gromit comics in their voices. Well, I guess Wallace's voice. Gromit didn't really have one, I suppose. But yeah, it was always really fun for me to do voices like that. And I remember when I was younger, I would like constantly beg my mom to let me play like tabletop role-playing games, like, Pathfinder, D&D, Starfinder, that kind of stuff. And of course, thanks to like schedules and such, she would never allow for that. So I just wound up playing dolls with my sibling, and we had our own adventures with them, so it worked out. I also really, really loved listening to the Redwall audiobooks when I was younger. The way that each character had their own separate VA was really amazing to me. And then, of course, as I grew up, I came across, audio dramas, specifically fandom ones. I didn't listen to a lot of actual radio because I was a very picky person. But, going on to, sites like YouTube and stuff, you could find audio dramas and such. I recall someone who did, fully voice-acted, fan-made Phoenix Wright, cases as audio dramas. That was always really cool. And eventually, all that led me to finding actual ASMR and, audio roleplays and stuff. And I remember with, each of those audio types, books, audio dramas, roleplays, ASMR, I'd always think that, I want to do that. Something like that. Something that lets me use my voice to tell stories. And because I already had a microphone from my sibling, I decided one day to just go ahead with it. Why not, right? So I did. And at first I failed miserably because I was making stuff that my friends wanted to see. And I wanted to make them happy. But eventually I made the stuff that I wanted to see, which is this channel. So yeah, that's it. That's the story of how I got started making ASMR and what inspired me to make ASMR. Lastly, Kat asks quite a few questions. So let's go through them. First off, they say, "Hello, how are you doing?" As of writing this, very tired, and my legs hurt from working today. As of recording this audio, however, I'm okay. I'm still a bit tired, but, yeah, I'm good. I'm very excited because I'm doing some more Persona 3 Reload later with a friend. Can't wait. Next, what's your favorite scenario to record? Like casual chatting, cuddling, steppies, noms, etc. Jeez, I don't know. Thing is, there's plenty of things I like for various reasons. Casual chatting and stuff is nice for simplicity. Steppies are fun because of how rare I find them to be. Stuff like that. I don't know. I think probably the more casual chatting type stuff. It allows for some fun size difference talk to take place and can be pretty versatile without being drawing attention exclusively to I'm big, you're little, or you're big, I'm little. Next, they ask, when is your and your character's birthdays? So my birthday is this year, actually. I mean, I have one every year, but, very exciting. As for my characters, I don't know. I never thought about that before, honestly. I probably should, though, given that, I age, so my characters, should, too. I mean, I don't want to be, one of those people who plays, a vampire in, a teen drama, and then you see them age, 20 years by the time the drama's over, but they're still playing, a 16-year-old, and you're like, you are not 16. You don't even look 16. You don't even act 16. So, yeah, I should probably figure out birthdays for them and celebrate them and stuff, but for now, I will have to get back to you on that. Let's see, Kat also asks, what is your favorite video or audio that you've created? If you have one. To be honest, it's hard to choose just one. The thing is, a lot of my favorites are commissions because y'all are super creative. And, I won't say that my ideas are bad. I won't say that. But I will say, you guys come up with ideas that I never would have. So, I see the things that y'all request in commissions, and I'm like, why didn't I do that? That is such a good idea. I love that. And then I record it, and I'm like, this is my best video I've ever made. But not including commissions, I'd say my top 3 probably would be the Bone Worm audio from last October. I really liked this one. It was a lot of fun. Then probably the first audio I did of the friendly giant drawing you. And then probably my first ever Q&A audio, the first ever celebratory one. Because that was a lot of fun to get to record. So those are probably like my top 3, or like at least in the top like 5 or 10. Next, he asks, what motivates you to keep creating content? This might sound a bit silly, but honestly the content itself motivates me. I really enjoy making this stuff, and knowing that it makes others' days better as well certainly helps. So, yeah, I don't know. I enjoy making these, so I keep making them. Let's see. Next, Kat asks, would you rather hold the tiny or be the tiny and be the one getting held? I would rather hold the tiny, for sure. Especially if they're a close friend. I would love to hold them and keep them close to me for a while and just let them relax in my embrace. Next, Kat says, do you think your personality would fit better with being a giant or a tiny? I don't know. I think that while I do have the curiosity of a tiny, I would probably fit better as a giant in general. I don't know, I'm a rather caring person with a desire to like do things and help folks. And I think that the additional size would benefit that. And I also feel like eventually I'd just kind of get over being like seen so much. Like, I don't really enjoy being like perceived socially. But I feel like I'd get over it once I'm that size. It's like, okay, well, you can get over me. Alright, the next question. Question 8. Do you prefer purring tinies or purring giants? Purring giants, for sure. I mean, that deep, bassy purr, like the soft, rumbling chest. Oh, I love that. I'd love to rest on a giant's chest and listen to them purr, so. Let's see. Her next question is, in your opinion, where is the best spot to put a tiny if you have to carry them around for the day? I carry around bags, so I would probably say in my bag. I also carry like satchels, so I feel like it's a bit easier to keep them from jostling around when it's like extended like that. If it's like a backpack, that's a different story, but honestly I'd still probably say backpack even if I was wearing one. I feel like the thing is, when it comes to my bag, I can clear out a spot specifically for the tiny, and like in my pockets or something I would worry about them getting squished. And then like, you know, I know I've done content about it similarly to this, but I feel like in all actuality the stomach would be a pretty terrible place to keep them. Same with the mouth, because you get soaked. And then like shoes or something like that would be you know, if I'm gonna be walking around all day, that's not gonna be fun. Let's see, question 10. What is your ideal tiny and giant size range? This could apply to you or your OCs. Honestly, for both my characters and me, I prefer a range of like a few inches to a few dozen feet. Like roughly 3 to 12 inches and like 10 to 30 feet, let's say. I do enjoy ranges outside of that, but those are like my ideals, personally. I feel like they, you know, allow for fun sizey shenanigans to happen without being like too disruptive. Question 11. Would you rather be able to change your own size or be able to change others' sizes? Change my size, absolutely. I would abuse the ability though. I would sneak under doorways and hide in rooms and all that kind of stuff. And if need be, I could just make myself bigger to protect myself, like if someone was coming after me. I'd be an absolute menace, honestly. The next question from Kat is, would you rather go on a harrowing adventure at your dream size or have a safe, relaxing time at that size? Relaxing time. Personally, whether big or small, I feel like I would just generally prefer having like a nice, relaxing time of it rather than getting into like genuine mischief or danger. Though, I don't know. I think if it were a one-time thing, it would be a relaxing time. If it were a multiple time thing, like if I could do it on a regular basis, and then this was just like one particular example, maybe I'd go on a harrowing adventure. But I don't know, if it's a one-time thing, relaxing all the way. Next, question 13. Would you rather find giant fingerprints in your car or tiny footprints in your house? Giant fingerprints on my car, I'd say. With tiny footprints, that suggests that there's someone else there, and now I have to be mindful of them. But with giant fingerprints, that means that a giant was not only interested enough in my car, and possibly me to come investigate, but they were also careful enough to leave only some fingerprints behind as a sign of them being there. So I have faith in that giant. I do not have faith in myself with a tiny. Let's see. The next question was, what's your favorite size trope? Oh, my favorite size trope, I would have to say, I don't know if this necessarily counts as a trope, but I love when giants are just like absolutely enraptured by the ingenuity of tinies. Like, it's fine when a giant is like, oh, that's small, I don't care, that's pathetic. Like, it's whatever. But like when a giant sees a town that's like the size of his chest and is just mesmerized at all the little details and how sturdy it is in spite of its size, and look at all the little people bustling around, going to shops and works and houses. Oh, I love that stuff. Conversely, they also ask, what is your least favorite size trope? I don't know if this one counts as a trope either, but it always really frustrates me seeing like dramatic personality shifts in size difference. Like, two best friends who are completely inseparable, but then one of them shrinks and the other one's suddenly super cruel and wants to step on them and chew them into paste or whatnot. Like, I can understand how some would find that appealing, and I do think it's fun to have the larger party perhaps be like a bit unaware of the peril they're putting the smaller party in, so having like, oh, come on, you're just like overreacting. I just want to like fuck around with you a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to be that bad, right? But I don't know. Something about having a distinct change from like, we're best friends and I love you, to like, you're a worthless subhuman insect. I don't know, that just doesn't appeal to me. Again, no judgment to people who it does appeal to. I can understand why that would be appealing, but it's just not appealing to me. Let's see. Next, they ask, are there any fictional characters you really, really want to shrink or grow? To be honest, I really don't think so, which may, I suppose, be surprising. I don't know. I don't consume a lot of media that has characters that I'd be interested in seeing in that way. Like, maybe Gale or Halsin from Baldur's Gate 3 could make good giants. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know. I can't think of anything, honestly. I feel that arguably the less I know about a character, the easier it is for me to like desire seeing them in a GT situation. Like, the more I know about them, the more I just see them as like a normal character devoid of GT attachment. So like, if I play a character's game, or if I like read the story that a character comes from, or like something like that, then I'm just like, oh. Which I guess is why I enjoy making my own characters, because then it's like, well, the attachment they have is specifically drawn to GT, so it's not like they're a normal person and I'm inserting them into a GT context. Like, that's just the context they're already in. What is going on out there? Sorry. I would love to, like, pause and record and let everyone outside be loud if they want to, but, this audio goes up in an hour and a half, so I don't have that kind of time. Okay. Next. Question 17. What was your GT awakening? If you can remember. So, I did mention, like, the whole thing earlier with the Backyardigans, and the episode where they were playing superheroes, stuff like that. So that, I guess, was like my first introduction to it, and then like later on I kind of just came to understand that I really liked it. But something that I do recall that I remember I was completely unaware that it was a thing at the time, but looking back I'm like, how did you not realize? I used to play the Wii game Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And I remember it had a picture mode, so you could like take pictures while in battle of either like cool things that happened or like you doing something cool or like whatever you wanted. Just take a picture of whatever you wanted. And I remembered I would use like the shrinking and growing mushrooms from like, I think it was Mario that had them, like the poison mushroom and then like the good mushroom. Or the, I don't know what it's called, but basically those ones. And I would have like various characters that I really enjoyed would like use those and shrink and grow. And then I would take pictures of them like in ways that it looked like they were stepping in each other or like grabbing one of them or like getting eaten, stuff like that. I remember I would spend like hours doing that. And I think it's so funny looking back at that. Like, how did I not realize that that was something that I really enjoyed at the time? And I was just like, no, that's just a normal thing. Alright. Going from that amusing story to the next question, very apt. What side scenario do you find the funniest? What would I find the funniest? I don't know. I don't think I'm really the best judge of humor, to be honest. Though I do think it's always quite charming when like a giant or a tiny is like very clearly enjoying being around someone of the other size, but is very begrudging to admit it. Like they do all these things to ensure the other person is happy and enjoying themselves, but are adamant it's got nothing to do with the other person's size or anything of the sort. That's very silly to me. I also feel like, to a certain degree, I enjoy it when, like, the size comes into play in a way that's, like, probably really, like, disconcerting for, like, in actuality, but it's just played for laughs. Like, honey, our downstairs neighbor grew to 30 feet and broke through our floor. And it's just like, oh, very interesting. Anyway, like, in actuality, that would be very disconcerting. But it's played for, like, no, this isn't, like, scary. This isn't upsetting. This is really funny. Like, I love it when that kind of thing happens, because it's like, it takes the, like, actual concern out of it, and it's like, no, this is just chill. I think those are great. Let's see. The next question 19. We're almost to the end of Kat's questions. What am I gonna do? Question 19 is, are there any songs that give you size vibes? I do have a few, and I feel like they probably aren't ones that other people would consider to be size vibes. The first one is Timberhearth from Outer Wilds. I don't know. It kind of just feels like the kind of music I'd listen to if I was like a few stories tall and had the world at my fingertips. And then for like small vibes, I would say Let's Be Goblins by Ratwife and Creature of the Night by Air Traffic Controller, I want to say. Yeah, they have kind of the Little Rascal kind of vibes. Let's see. Question 20. Kat asks, what size do you prefer to interact with the most? And I'm assuming that you mean like other people who are this height, rather than like what height do I like to use for audios and such. So I'd probably say like around 10 inches tall, probably. Not so tall that they can't do anything without assistance, but small enough that I can like pick them up and keep them in my backpack or like my satchel or whatever. Yeah, I'd say that. Question 21. This is I think kind of relating to a previous question, but I mean I'll answer it anyways. What in particular caused you to like vor or steppies? To be honest, I really don't remember any particular media or anything of that sort that really made me realize I was into them. I think if I had to wager, they were probably just things I was into at a younger age, but then saw such limited quantities of that I never really came to fully understand my enjoyment for them until later in life. If anything, honestly, I remember a lot of stuff that would have put me off from it. Because, like, I saw when I was younger than I am currently, I saw a lot of, like, unaware stuff, or, like, stuff where someone gets eaten along with food, and that's never been my interest. It's not, no judgment to people who like it, but it's not my personal taste. So, or like, like gore and stuff. I never really enjoyed that, so I think it's kind of funny, if anything, that I've enjoyed it for so long. Let's see. Second to last question. Question 22. Do you prefer tinies to taste sweet, salty, sour, spicy, or maybe a combination of them? Or perhaps something else? I personally prefer kind of like a nice umami flavor. Something like maybe a little sweet, but mostly just savory. I reckon like my top 3 flavors for tiny would be teriyaki, rotisserie chicken, and pumpkin maybe? I feel like pumpkin has a nice like subtly sweet flavor to it. Not all at once. Not all of those flavors at once. But yeah, I reckon those 3 would be my favorite. Though I could also see like dipping tinies in something being nice. Like maybe you could get a few folks who taste like berries and then dip them in whipped cream. That'd be good. Alright. For Kat's final question, they ask, what is your genuine, honest opinion of your community? I've been saving this question for last because I really liked it. Honestly, I love you guys. It is such a pleasure and such an honor to have just a wonderful community like you guys, and a loving community, to be here with me, engaging with the stuff I create and the stuff that I myself am fascinated by. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for listening to my stuff and commenting. I know that I don't comment as much as I used to. I don't reply as much as I used to, and I really wish I could. But I still read all your comments, and like, I take them to heart when I can. I just really appreciate having you guys here. It means the world to me that you guys, stick around, you guys watch the stuff I make, you guys, like, engage with each other, too. Seeing people either reply to each other's comments, or, over on the Discord that I now have. The link is in a free post on my Patreon if you're interested. But seeing all that, it just really makes my day. Genuinely, it makes me so happy. So thank you guys for being here. You're just great. You're genuinely so wonderful. So yeah, that's the end of the Q&A. That's all the questions that I have. If you asked a question and I didn't get to it, please feel free to let me know. Feel free to put it down in the comments if you would like. Or again, if you're over on the Discord Discord server, you're welcome to message me there. Just give me a little @ and say, hi, I left you a comment and I didn't get it asked, and I'll happily respond to it there. Or if you'd like, I can put it in December's Q&A if you want to wait that long to hear me say something. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed. I know it's a bit of a long video, but hope you all enjoyed getting to hear from me and hear about me. And I hope you all take care. You are wonderful people. You make me so happy, and I'm so glad that you took the time to be here today. So, yeah, I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye, everyone.